Howdy everypony, Lonely Brony here. As of right now, my first video is successfully uploaded, the second one's being uploaded, so I'm going to shoot a little bit further with this one, and I'm going to aim for 15 minutes and see if I can make a video, see if that works well with the program I'm currently using. So, I've already started this, but I've stuttered so much, and I had to pause it because I had to take care of some video stuff, so I'm going to do part 3. Aim for 15 minutes and just plow through it. Rarity? It was just Rainbow Dash's idea. Whoa. Okay there. Sorry about that. Before I fix up the video, I'm going to try that one more time. I did not know why I A, started from there, and B, Applejack is one of my favorite ponies. And I was voicing Applejack earlier. She was the last one I did before it restarted, so... They went inside, Twilight Sparkle going in first, and suddenly... Happy birthday, Twilight Sparkle! Applejack, Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash, and even Fluttershy shouted, shocking Twilight. Twilight was lost for words. Pinkie Pie went over to Twilight and began jumping up and down in excitement. Were you surprised? Were you surprised? You were surprised, weren't you? I could tell. You know how I know how? Because you walked in, you're like, and we're like, happy birthday! And you're like, yeah, like right now. Pinkie Pie, why don't we let Twilight step inside? Applejack said, pushing Pinkie Pie away. Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy flew over to Twilight. Well, don't you look like a model? Rainbow Dash said. Are you having a happy birthday so far? Fluttershy asked sweetly. Actually, I am, Twilight said, sitting down at a table. Spike is taking care of the library, Rarity took me to the spa, and oh, I'm finally able to read those books I told you guys about. You mean those ones in the gold chest? Rarity asked. Did you look at any of them yet? Applejack asked. No, not yet, Twilight explained. I figured I'd wait until later to read any of them. That's assuming you're not too tired after this kick-ass party, Rainbow Dash said. And as such, it's time for the birthday girl to have her first drink. Not to steal one of Applejack's lines, but... Come again? Twilight asked. Come on, you're the last one. This is major, Rainbow Dash stated. Yeah, that's one of the reasons this is such a big deal, is because with you, we're all finally legal, Pinkie Pie said, making Twilight embarrassed. Twilight was actually the youngest of the 6. After her was Pinkie Pie by a few months, then Fluttershy, who was a whole year older than Pinkie Pie. Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy were close to the same age, but Rainbow Dash's birthday was before Fluttershy's. Rarity and Applejack were both the oldest, Rarity being a year older than Rainbow Dash, Applejack being 2. Their current ages from youngest to oldest were Pinkie Pie and give me a second. Pinkie Pie and Twilight Sparkle at 21, Rainbow Dash at 22, Fluttershy at 23? Wait a minute. Doesn't make sense. Rainbow Dash's birthday... Oh, Rainbow Dash's birthday was before Fluttershy's. Alright, so it's Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie at 21. Sorry, they just included some numbers. I just kind of want to attach the ponies. 22 is Fluttershy. 23 is Rainbow Dash. 24 is Rarity. And 25 being Applejack. Yup. Oh, Celestia, Twilight said with a sigh. Hey bartender, glass of scotch, Rainbow Dash shouted. Dash, don't you think that's a little... Rarity began. Strong? Applejack finished. It'll be fine, trust me, Rainbow Dash said, putting her arms around the concerned ponies. The bartender set the drink down in front of Twilight, who stared at it for a long time. So, what now? Twilight asked. You do the same thing you do with that as you do with a glass of juice, Rainbow Dash said. You take a drink. Twilight was hesitant, but she slowly raised her glass to her mouth, took a sip, and immediately spat it out. Celestia, that's strong. Ugh. Huh, more for me, Rainbow Dash said, taking the scotch and drinking it herself. If we're going that route, I think this is just the thing, Applejack said, wandering over to the bartender, a second later coming back with the bartender, who had set a pink and bubbly drink in front of Twilight. This isn't gonna kill me, is it? Twilight asked. This only has a little bit of alcohol in it. Not enough to make you overly drunk, but I'll give you a taste of what alcohol is like, Applejack explained. Essentially, it's just soda for grown-ups. Good job, Applejack. Essentially. Big word for a pony like you. Twilight took a small sip of it, shocked at how good it was. She then took another sip, getting claps from every pony around her. Congratulations, Twilight, she said. Now it's time to lose your Fluttershy suddenly put her hoof over Pinky's mouth and smiled sweetly at Twilight. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, she said in a soft, yet slightly assertive tone, then shooting a sharp look at Pinkie Pie, who simply smiled sheepishly. From there, the party began. It was just the 6 of them in the beginning, but the ponies actually started walking. But ponies started actually walking in the bar around 4. Apparently, Pinkie Pie had invited the whole town. Normally, Twilight would have been uncomfortable, but this was a lot of positive attention. Not only that, but her friends still had other gifts for her. Twilight thought the party was Pinkie Pie's present, but sure enough, she gave Twilight a scrapbook full of pictures of them together. Some of those pictures Twilight didn't even know Pinkie had taken. Rainbow Dash gave Twilight a keychain with a symbol like her cutie mark. Twilight knew it was her silent way of bragging about herself, but it was also so she could always have something Rainbow Dash's that was always close. It was actually a sweet gesture, since none of them had gotten their cutie marks or even had met if it hadn't been for Rainbow Dash's getting hers. Fluttershy was last, giving Twilight a nice necklace made of fancy rocks, probably found by Rarity. Twilight knew Fluttershy would give her something homemade, and this was really pretty. All in all, it was a great party. It was getting late, and everyone was at least a little tipsy. Even Fluttershy, who seemed to get really bubbly and perky when she was drunk. Twilight and Applejack started making their way back to the library, since Twilight still wanted to read those books. So, you sure you're gonna be alright? Applejack asked. Oh, yeah, I'll be fine, Twilight said cheerfully. I'm probably gonna go right to bed after I read at least one of them. Ah, well, hope you had a good birthday, Applejack said. I did, and it's thanks to all you girls, Twilight said with a smile. Thank you. I would thank everyone else, but yeah, I never did agree with Rainbow Dash's drinking, Applejack said. You have a good night, Twilight. You too, Applejack, Twilight said. She watched Applejack walk off, then went inside. The snoring she heard when she got inside let her know that Spike was dead tired. In the dark, she could tell the library was spotless, so Spike had been working really hard while she was gone. Oh, Spike, she said, looking at Spike Oh my, apparently his gender slipped. Twilight said, looking at Spike as she slept on the floor. She used her magic to lift him up and slowly began escorting him to his bed, which she then set him down in and pulled the covers on him. Sometimes how expressive it was. Sometimes with how expressive he was, it was easy to forget he was a baby dragon. This wasn't one of those times. He looked so cute and peaceful, Twilight couldn't help but smile. I'll have to show him my new look in the morning, Twilight said. She made her way to her room. Once there, she fell on her bed and laughed to herself. It was all too good to be true. She was 21 now, a full-grown mare in both mind and body. Even the princess recognized her as an adult. The princess. Right! The books! Twilight had forgotten about all of those. She ran over to the chest, inserted her horn, and opened. It was late, and she was still a little buzzed from the drink she had, so it probably wasn't a good idea for her to do anything extensive tonight, but she could at least skim through one of them. Give her something to look forward to. She searched the chest for a book that wouldn't require any real critical thinking, which she found was hard to do with alcohol in her system. Her eyes stopped on the prophecies of the old world. They were just stories, like really dark bedtime stories the ponies thought were true. That would be a great introduction to the knowledge Princess Celestia wanted her to ingest. She took the book to a bed, and using the light from her horn, began to look through the table of contents. All the stories looked really scary, but one caught her attention. Equestria's Darkest Hour. She thought to herself. There might be something here that Twilight needed to know. My apologies. I'm Minnesotan, my accent slurs. Her thoughts went back to 2 years ago, when she discovered the return of Nightmare Moon in a book. That turned out to be something, and since Equestria really hadn't had a serious disaster since Discord, maybe there was something here. She opened the book to the page and began reading. It is prophesied. that on the last day of the 20th millennium, the Queen of Darkness will be born. Twilight read aloud. The 20th millennium. That would be 1900s, she thought to herself, then remembered she was born in the year 2000. The day right before the new year. Huh, Twilight thought to herself. It was probably just a coincidence. Lots of ponies are born that day, so it wasn't her. She decided to keep reading. In her youth, she will be natural at all things magical. She will be a pony with a dark coat, and possess powers unlike any other, she read. Her heart was racing a bit now. On the day she comes of age, she will begin to awaken to her true nature. The darkness in her heart will consume her, and she will use her powers not only to usurp the current rule of Equestria, but plunge the world in an eternal twilight. Huh? She realized what she just read. Twilight? That was too strange not to mean something. She was getting scared now. She was natural at all things magical. She was a pony with a dark coat. She possessed powers unlike any other unicorn in her generation. And she had just come of age. Today. She looked further into the chapter until she saw an entry that spoke of the symbol. She turned to the next page, hoping to see the symbol, but immediately wished she hadn't. The symbol looked like a giant star, almost an explosion, and there were smaller stars around it. She looked in the mirror at the symbol on her flank that everyone knew she was best at. Her cutie mark was the same as the symbol in the book. There was no way it was talking about her. But then again, there was no way it wasn't. She didn't feel like taking over Equestria, though, nor did she want to usurp the rule of Princess Celestia. She wasn't a bad pony, but based off of what she read, it's just an old story, Twilight said with an awkward laugh. I shouldn't take everything I read so seriously. Twilight tried to convince herself. She closed the book and set it back in the chest. She then went to bed and tried to get some sleep, still convinced maybe, that it was all a coincidence. But Twilight was a pony who doesn't believe in coincidences. That is chapter 1. Chapter 2 looks to be of approximately the same-ish length. I think I'm going to record chapter 2 all in one setting, and then just cut it up into separate video segments, and just see how that works. Okay, so we still have a few minutes. We're beyond the time I initially go, so I guess we're gonna see how far this goes. I'm trying to go for the full 15 minutes, see if that works. So I have about 2 minutes left, so let's see, what can I do here? Hi everybody, I'm Lonely Brony, because that's who I am. Oh, I want to talk a little bit about the fanfic. This fanfic is called Inner Demons. It's by Sapphire Libera 3. I actually found it while browsing it's a weird chain. I had never heard of a Clopper before, and I was just exploring around. Found a website called Equestria After Dark. Immediately regretted it, but one of the things it linked me to was a fanfiction site, and from that there was Inner Demons. I read the first 3 or 4 chapters that were posted there, was immediately hooked, but unfortunately I couldn't get any more. For clarification, Inner Demons wasn't connected to Equestria After Dark. It was Equestria After Dark linked to a Clopfic on a pony fiction site, and one of the newest entries in the pony fiction site was Inner Demons. I was immediately hooked, but went through a major withdrawal as it seemed like a really huge epic story, and it is. I only got the first 4 chapters in there, but I found it on fanfiction.net. There are 34 chapters altogether. If it takes 3 episodes to get through one, well, this is going to take a while. I hope to go through all of it. Little precursor, the next chapter is called Apple Bloom's Path. I like the Cutie Mark Crusaders in this fanfic. Overall, this writer, Sapphire Libera 3, is great. I did not ask her permission to do this, but I think it's publicity. I'm just shooting for publicity for her. Alright, so, yeah.